games we've had, I think is pretty remarkable. I'm really proud of the guys. So this is a beneficial time. We're going to try to make the most of it, and then be ready to roll for what's going to be the toughest schedule in football for the next 5 weeks.
No bye will help outside linebacker David Ojabo. The second-year player who's on the IR with the knee and ankle injuries has been shut down for the rest of the season. Ojabo had surgery last week on a partially torn ACL, an injury he wanted to play through but opted for surgery in his future in 2024.
He had to make a decision about it in terms of whether to risk it or not, and every medical expert said to get it fixed because it would have said he wanted to play. But even I told him, I said, man, you gotta get that right for the rest of your career because it's a clean type of a surgery, and he'll be rolling again.
The hopeful plan is to still get outside linebacker Tyus Bowser back. Harbaugh added today on Bowser. He's still not ready to start his 21-day window for practice, but if and when that happens, they'll use him this season. He's been shut down with a knee injury.
Morgan, thank you. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 6 o'clock, car thefts continue to plague Baltimore, with some residents reporting their vehicles stolen more than once. How police are trying to deter thieves, who are often young people. And Fox 45 continues to press legislators about how they're addressing the juvenile crime crisis, the changes lawmakers want to see.
Baltimore residents face multiple instances of violence over the holiday weekend. What police are now saying about the increase in juvenile crime. The youth crime crisis extending far beyond the city, why prosecutors say their hands are tied when it comes to holding kids accountable. Israel and Hamas agree to extend their truce by 2 days, what it means for dozens of hostages still held by Hamas.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
It seems like the issue's gotten so bad that I feel that there's going to be some sort of reform passed.
The holiday weekend plagued with violence, with multiple instances of juvenile crime across the city, including carjackings and armed robberies. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Mary Bubala. The latest arrest data just released by Baltimore police shows the department has arrested 15 juveniles for various crimes since last Wednesday. Those crimes include armed carjackings, armed robberies, auto thefts, and drug dealing. Fox 45's Alexa Ashwell breaks it all down.
armed robberies,
1201 North Patterson Park, 10 rounds,
carjackings, and car thefts.
I'm watching 4 little kids, maybe 15, 16, jump out of a car 1:30 in the morning.
Crimes that unfortunately are known to be committed by young people. And here in Baltimore, showing little to no sign of slowing.
The behavior by the kids is outrageous.
On the eve of Thanksgiving, police were called to Baltimore's Patterson Park after a victim says they were robbed at gunpoint by a group of juveniles.
The victim is claiming that the 4 juveniles, high schoolers, dressing all black, went towards the park. They utilized a handgun.
Just days later, a rash of armed robberies hit the Pigtown area.
It's going to be about 5 or 6 juveniles. They're going to be wearing masks.
The majority of the suspects were told juveniles.
One of them brandished a knife.
When you look into those kids' eyes, they do not see fear.
No fear, many say, due to a lack of consequence.
If BPD says, well, we're arresting them, and you see that, on the report that, that they're, or at least they were in custody and they were taken downtown, so you know that. DJS says that, we're giving them services and look at our chart and here's how great this is working. But yet, down here, there's a lot of instances with our own eyes, with our cameras, with whatever, we use, whatever evidence, it seems like there are kids slipping through those cracks.
There have been more than 10,000 car thefts reported in Baltimore so far this year. Last week, BPD revealed about 38% of these thefts were committed by juveniles. The breakdown even more concerning, with about 2/3 of those suspects reported to the Department of Juvenile Services and only 5% serving time in a DJS facility.
Juveniles who are accused of committing violent crimes, like carjacking, should be detained for some period of time until their case can be adjudicated, and they're not.
Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Often seen at the center of the car theft crisis, Baltimore City has now surpassed 10,000 auto thefts this year. Officials say juveniles stole 38% of those cars, despite the mayor and police commissioner announcing new strategies to tackle auto thefts earlier this month. The crime doesn't seem to be slowing down. The Baltimore Police Department has given out more than 3,000 steering wheel locks to residents, but these auto thefts are still happening. Fox 45 News spoke with one man who had a lock on his steering wheel, but his car was still stolen for a second time over the weekend.
I'm the victim, but I'm being treated like the villain. I mean, these guys go around stealing these cars each and every day, tearing people's cars up, and we got to dig in our pockets for something that they done destructed. It's not right. And the city needs to do something.
BPD sent us a statement this afternoon saying, in part, they're working to address the surge in auto thefts and that they've seen a 21% reduction in car thefts in the last 28 days. Baltimore police data reports 10.3 thousand auto thefts and attempted auto thefts so far this year. Well, if you have a stolen car story or know somebody who has been impacted by the spike in auto thefts, we want to hear about it. Just scan the QR code right there on your screen. Tell us what happened or send an email to news@foxbaltimore.com. The youth crime crisis extends far beyond Baltimore. We have heard from more than a dozen top prosecutors in Maryland who are calling for change in Annapolis, saying juvenile justice laws leave their hands tied when it comes to holding young people accountable. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost spoke with another state's attorney about what changes they want to see from lawmakers.
Some prosecutors are calling for a handful of changes to the current juvenile justice laws. But right now, the public has yet to see plans from Democrats in charge or the governor to address these concerns. Another armed robbery
For Eastern and Patterson, possible armed robbery.
near Patterson Park in Baltimore last week, where the suspects
The victim is claiming that the 4 juveniles, high schoolers, dressing all black, went towards the park. They utilized a handgun.
are juveniles. More examples of what we've been hearing from people all across the state.
Guns, carjackings, motor vehicle thefts, they've exploded.
Montgomery County State's Attorney John McCarthy has been at the forefront of the prosecutors' push for change.
We've got to look at services. We've got to look at options. We've got to look at more flexibility for probation.
In Annapolis, Senator Will Smith chairs the powerful Senate Judicial Proceedings Committee. last week, indicating he's not on board with a full repeal of the two laws at the center of the juvenile crime crisis debate. One, preventing kids 13 and younger from facing nonviolent misdemeanor charges, and the other, requiring an attorney to be present during questioning of juveniles by law enforcement. Smith says the juvenile justice laws need more time to see the full results.
Laws that we put in place are going to take a couple of years to fully see the fruit of the foundations that we've laid and the seeds that we've planted. I, for one, am not interested in rolling back the reforms that we put in place last year.
McCarthy says he understands the idea behind the plans and agrees a full repeal may not be necessary. But McCarthy says there are specific changes he wants to see made and hopes Senator Smith will be on board.
Let us review all felonies. Let's address this probationary, some of these artificial limitations. Give some faith back to the judges. And I do think we are going to have a greater presence in Annapolis this year than we've had in years gone.
It seems like the issue's gotten so bad that I feel that there's going to be some sort of reform passed.
Delegate Robin Grammer, a Republican from Baltimore County, sits on the House Judiciary Committee, and he's been pushing for bigger changes and says the two previous committee hearings this fall have been beneficial, but it's time to see action.
People have to, frankly, stop playing so close to the chest and start having real discussions about this issue.
With just over a month until the next General Assembly session begins, lawmakers are running out of time to get a plan together before the first bell rings. That House committee hearing is scheduled to take place next Tuesday afternoon, and it'll happen in person. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
That brings us to our question of the day. Do you want your elected leaders to hold young people accountable? So far, 99% of those who have voted say yes to make your voice heard. Head to foxbaltimore.com.
Breaking news out of the Middle East right now. Israel and Hamas have agreed to extend their truce for 2 additional days, raising hopes for the release of more Israeli hostages and imprisoned Palestinians, along with additional aid for 2.3 million civilians in Gaza. Now, Qatar announced today that that deal includes 2 additional days of the truce in exchange for the release of 20 more hostages currently being held by Hamas. Israel has said that it would extend the deal by 1 day for every 10 additional hostages released. Earlier today, Hamas freed 11 Israeli women and children on what would have been the last day of the original 4-day truce. Israel was also to release 33 Palestinians from its prisons under the same deal, most of them teenagers. Well, Israel maintains that it is committed to crushing Hamas's military capabilities and says it will continue to its offensive once that truce expires.
New accounts of life in Hamas captivity. I'm Atrel Nashar with what family of the released hostages say they ate, where they slept, and the healing they have ahead of them.
Today, Israel and Hamas agreeing to pause fighting in Gaza for an additional 2 days in exchange for the release of another 20 women and children held hostage by Hamas. Sinclair national correspondent Atra El-Nashar joins us live from Capitol Hill with more on what they're going through. Atra?
Hey, good evening, Mary. Dozens of hostages have been released in the past few days, and they're starting to share what they experienced in the weeks following their kidnappings on October 7th.
As hostages are released, we're learning about the conditions they endured and still exist for those who remain in Hamas captivity.
Very little food, very little water. They came back very, very slim.
Ahal Besserai's teenage niece and nephew were released on Saturday. He says they were held in the room of a house with another woman. Family of other released hostages also say their meals were scarce, often just bread and rice. Meager nutrition, especially for the elderly and children. Like 9-year-old Emily Hand, seen here.
Lost a lot of weight from my face and body, but generally doing better than we expected.
Accounts of sleeping on rows of plastic chairs and sometimes waiting more than an hour to use a bathroom. In late October, 85-year-old Yocheved Lifshitz and 79-year-old Nurit Cooper were released. Hamas says due to their health, Lifshitz said while they were held, a doctor would visit them every few days with medication. But for 84-year-old Elma Avraham,
my mother did not deserve to come back like this.
Her daughter says she was severely medically neglected, left without necessary medication, returning home wounded and unconscious.
She arrived with a pulse of 40, with a body temperature of 28 degrees.
Equivalent to about 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Then there's the mental anguish. Psychoanalyst Merav Roth says trauma of being held hostage is compounded by the violence of October 7th. Treatment, she says, can't wait.
That's what we do with post-traumatic stress disorder. We take care immediately because the first days are crucial.
Now, some of these hostages, Mary, are coming home to learn for the first time that some of their family members were either killed on October 7th or are still being held hostage by Hamas.
Right, because they had no way of knowing so much since October 7th. Atra, we know Israel has a protocol for how they're handling the hostages when they are returned. What can you tell us about what it's like for them?
Sure. So after an initial assessment, they were taken to one of 6 hospitals in Israel. And keep in mind, the government's compiled medical records of every single known hostage so that they can be ready with the necessary data should each one of them be released. Now, we're also learning about the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, basically their military's role in all of this and how they're assisting. One soldier has been assigned to each individual child or family that's getting released here. And Mary, I want to read you a quick quote from the welfare ministry because I think it illustrates the fragile situation with handling especially these kids when they come out of captivity. It says, quote, if the children who are without one or both of their parents says something like, where is mom or where is dad, soldiers should not answer these questions even if they know the answers. That, again, is from the welfare ministry. Because, again, like you were mentioning, so many of them just don't know what happened after they were kidnapped. They don't know the extent of October 7th. And the goal here really seems to be to avoid re-traumatizing them.
That's right. Crushing trauma they experienced. Atra El-Nashar live in D.C. for us tonight. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, the suspected shooter of 3 Palestinian-American students now faces 3 counts of second-degree attempted murder. Authorities announcing the charges during a press conference shortly after the suspect was arraigned in court today. 48-year-old Jason Eaton pleaded not guilty to the charges. The state's attorney there calling the shooting a hateful act.
We must, as a community and state, stand strong against hate and divisiveness. We must see the humanity in each other and unite as one community in one state that will not tolerate this hate.
The FBI and DOJ investigating if the shooting was a hate crime. Family members of the 3 victims say the young men are recovering in good spirits. Eaton is being held without bail.
All right, this evening, taking a look at our Fox Triple Cast, we've got some
Mainly clear skies and chilly temperatures setting up on the Mile 1 Task Cam and the Toyota East Inner Harbor Sky Cam. Beautiful city lights there. HD radar showing some lake effect snow showers and flurries to our north. Really our latest weather maker is kind of Arctic fair weather high pressure moving in. So primarily it's going to be a quiet beginning to the week with a big chilling trend by tomorrow. Some of the coldest weather since February probably to greet us as we head Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Could see the first flakes of the season. Nothing really measurable, but we could see a few flurries potentially for tomorrow as well. Some of that cold air moves in, and maybe a couple of those lake effect snow showers and flurries last their way up and over the Appalachians and Blue Ridge Mountains. Then end of week warming, and yes, it'll turn more unsettled as that occurs. Right now 40. But look at that wind. It's gusty. Winds out of the west-northwest at 15. Mile 1 Task Cam showing the clear skies. A wind chill down at 32. Temperatures all across the board in the 30s to right around 40. Mustered our way close to 50 this afternoon, but that's not happening tomorrow. There's a cold air. Oakland only 23 right now. Those winds out of the west and northwest going to blow all that chill in toward us. We're at 32 on the wind chill here in Baltimore, and it precipitously falls off from Cumberland, feeling like 27 to Oakland up in ski country there at elevation. We're feeling like 11 degrees. And yes, we've got big chill and potentially a couple of snow showers and flurries that could be moving our way. This part and parcel of some cold air coming over the relatively warmer Great Lakes waters. You can see again the snow showers and flurries coming all over portions of western New York as well as portions of central northern Pennsylvania. Again, most of those die off typically as they come up and over the Appalachians. But for tomorrow, we could see some of this activity strong enough, the atmospheric conditions right, that maybe there could be about a 20% chance that you get a brief flurry here or there. Otherwise, it's going to be cold and blustery as the conditions persist with the Arctic air flooding in from the north and west. Again, some accumulating snow on the order of several inches, maybe a foot right in the lee of the lakes. But for us, we'll see blustery sun. That will continue through tomorrow and still chilly as we see a good acreage of this cold air heading our way through the midweek. So future scan says overnight tonight into early tomorrow, some of the coldest air since March as we drop down into the mid-20s to around 30. There are those clouds with the lake effect activity rolling on in. And again, there could be that brief, you see the blue snow shower or flurry into tomorrow midday afternoon. Outside of that, just some cold weather setting up for the next couple of days. And again, the low tomorrow night could be the coldest we've seen since back February 4th. 27 for tonight, mostly clear. Tomorrow we're at 37, clouds and sun, blustery and chilly. I've got your exclusive 10-day forecast. Going to let you know how long the cold lasts and when we could be touching near 60 again. That's in a couple of minutes.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
The second to last full moon of 2023 rises tonight. The Farmer's Almanac says it's known as the Beaver Moon because this is the time of year beavers shelter in their lodges for winter. In the Pacific Northwest, the full moon signals the arrival of king tide season, the highest tides of the year. Last year, the tides triggered devastating floods in sections of Seattle.
Want to see your weather photos and videos on TV? Click Chime In on this station's website to share.
A woman in D.C. feared for her life when a masked man threatened her and stole her new puppy. Why the latest in a string of violent dog nappings is digging up painful memories. A D.C. woman devastated and pleading for help just months after she lost her pet in a tragic incident. Someone stole her new puppy right in front of her home. In tonight's Assignment America, Megan Clark from our sister station in D.C. has her emotional story.
Surveillance video shows D.C. resident Tiffany Worthy and her dog Hendrix coming up the stairs after their early evening walk Saturday around 4. Moments later, 2 black cars pull up and a masked man runs up the stairs.
Said, "Give me your dog or I'm going to kill you." Looked like he had something black, a weapon in his hand.
The man took Hendrix and left, leaving Worthy stunned on the steps.
He ran off laughing like it was nothing, and I'm pleading, for him to give me the dog back. No remorse.
The crime digging up painful memories. Worthy recently lost her puppy Memphis when flash floodwaters filled this district dog's daycare on Rhode Island Avenue on August 14th, killing 10 dogs. After the heartbreaking tragedy, a friend gave Hendrix to Worthy as a gift on her birthday. His comfort helping her heal.
It's just traumatizing. I don't even know where to go from here.
And 7 News has covered violent dog nappings before, with another recent incident also happening in a neighborhood. Less than 2 weeks ago, these 3 French bulldogs were stolen at gunpoint on East Capitol Street in Southeast. 7 News asking MPD how often these thieves are caught.
What is the deterrent for people choosing to commit these crimes?
Police say dogs have been found and reunited with their owners, like this 14-year-old terrier taken at gunpoint in October. Worthy wants accountability. She also has a final plea for the thieves who stole Hendrix.
He loves to stay warm, feed him well, keep him warm. He's a lovable dog. Just please take care of him.
Your exclusive 10-day forecast going to bring us some Arctic air here. 37 degrees for tomorrow. Just a slim risk of, yes, a snowflake. Could have a flurry or 2. It's not out of the question. Nothing that's going to impact travel, though. It's blustery. Otherwise, wind chills in the 20s. Dress for it. 40 degrees. Winds begin to die down on Wednesday. Bright, milder day on Thursday. 53, 55. Showers develop Friday.